So since our propane test really didn't show anything to start with, we're going to back that up with the smoke test. We're going to turn our smoke machine on, and now we have to be able to put smoke inside the intake. So we've got a direct intake port here. I'm going to take that vacuum line off. I'm going to test my smoke machine, and you see it's putting out smoke. So now I'm going to put that in the vacuum line, and we're going to smoke the engine. Now the smoke is going to fill everything inside the engine, and if there's a leak, the smoke should come out. Now if you've never done this, sometimes with the smoke machine it can take some time to fill the whole system with smoke under pressure. So you need to let it run for a while, and then just start looking for smoke to escape. So of course the places to look are any place that the intake is bolted down in case you have a gasket leak, any place that there's vacuum lines. So this system should be completely sealed, where air comes in through the air ductwork, goes through the filter, passes past the mass airflow sensor, goes into the throttle body and into the intake. So any air into this intake should be seen and measured by the mass airflow. So if you look right here, you can see some smoke escaping. Now we're zoomed in pretty close. Let's back off so you can see where we're at. Now if you're using a smoke machine, often it's very helpful to have a pretty bright light. It'll help that smoke show up. So you can see the smoke leaking from there. Now this is one indication, and a pretty good indication, that we've got a leak right there. Since smoke, which is under pressure, is being pumped out, when we turn the smoke off, air could be sucked into that same hole. So our smoke machine is showing us a place where there's a very good chance there's a leak. Why didn't the propane test show that the first time? Let's do our propane test again, but this time let's do it a little bit more accurately. The first time we did the propane test, we were kind of just generally going all over the engine to see if anything big popped up. Nothing did. So we went to our smoke test, and it did reveal a spot where there could be a leak. So now I'm going to go back and do the propane test again, but I'm going to be a lot more precise where I actually place it. So I've got my propane bottle turned on, and I'm going to take this little wand and put it right on where we think the leak is, where the smoke showed us that there was a leak. Now as I do this, look at your short-term fuel trim. Now keep your eye on the short-term fuel trim, which is the bottom graph. Now you can see a sudden and an instant change when I get put propane there. So my short term suddenly went down. Now it's trying to correct. The computer's trying to adjust. But look at my long term. We've come down to 16. Coming way back down. This one's trying to correct. We're trying to get this one down as far as it can. Now let me turn the propane off. When I turned the propane off, my short term went back up into the 20s. And this side you can see it as well. Now look at my long term. It's climbing back up again. Because now I've got the air leak again. I have not filled that air with fuel. We've just got a direct air leak. We're seeing it instantly with short term, and we're confirming it with the long term over time. Now you can see short term is stabilized and long term is here, but if the longer we watch this, you're going to see the long term begin to climb back up. Now keep in mind, we're still at idle. The long term tried to stabilize it, so now it's still adjusting it up, and we're going closer and closer to the 25% again. Now let me just confirm this by adding propane one more time. Now you tell me when you think I'm adding the propane. short term reacted instantly, and our long term is reacting as well to confirm the problem. Notice our oxygen sensors. As soon as I added the propane, we went rich. We started pulling fuel away, short term and long term. Then I turned the propane off. As soon as I turn it off, we go lean with the oxygen sensor, and our short term is now adding fuel, and so is the long term.
Someone may say that you can't see an air leak with your eyes. Well, I don't know about you, but my eyes can see that leak pretty clearly.
So by using the knowledge of how the system works and understanding it, using the scanner and the lab scope, tracking down the evidence, we can find now that we've actually found the source of the leak. Now it's time to take it apart and see what's causing it and what it's going to take to fix it. Now this is where our leak was, in this area here. And as you can see, the vacuum motor, when it applies there, it rotates this shaft. This is held on with a number 10 bolt. We've taken that off, and now we can take this off. Now I'm also taking this screw out so I can push this out of the way just to give us a little bit more room. Now I've zoomed in on this shaft so that you can see it a little bit better. And you see it's just a little seal that goes in there. I'm going to take a little pair of hemostats and just grab onto this, that way my fingers won't be in the way. But you can see that that seal is no longer sealing in that hole. We can push it in and out, we can move it up and down. You can see that there's a lot of movement in there. Well, obviously air can sneak past that as the suction, the vacuum from inside the intake is applying. Now that's an excessive amount of play right there. Just replacing the seal is not going to do it. And this has been going on so long now that the hole is no longer round where the seal would go. The code is indicating that it's only at idle, and that's true. The pistons coming down create the negative pressure, create the vacuum. That vacuum is looking for air at any place it can find, and a lot like electricity and power and ground, power is going to find the closest ground. Vacuum is the same way. If it's looking for air, it's going to take it at its closest place. So at idle, when our throttle plate is closed, the air is coming in from that leak and it's affecting the computer. But as soon as you open the throttle plate, now you've got this huge amount of air that can come into the engine. Now our little bit of a leak over there is not so significant any longer. Now once again, understanding how the system works, using your knowledge and your equipment, doing the testing, looking and finding the evidence, we let the evidence lead us to the problem. So we know what the problem is. Now unfortunately on this engine and this problem, the only repair is to replace the intake. Why? Because the hole that the seal goes into is wallered out, it's no longer round, so putting in another round seal won't seal it, it'll just continue to leak. Now be sure to watch our next two videos. Part 4, how short-term and long-term work together, and then Part 5, why we replace the whole intake.